Good evening. Welcome to the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Today is Wednesday, October 4th, 2023, and it's 7:02 p.m. We're in the Utanus Room, 3rd floor, 10 Pearl Street, Stoughton, Mass. This is a hybrid meeting, in person, and also a virtual meeting. People can be online if they so desire, and it's a public hearing. Frank, could you just close that door?
Sure.
Don't close it tightly, leave it ajar,
Yep.
please. FinCom is out in the Great Hall, so there's some noise coming from there. That's good, Frank. Whatever you can do is.
Right.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Let me just read this. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which extends the Governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, Master and Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, until March 31, 2025. This meeting will be conducted both in person and virtually, via Google Meets. A public hearing will be held by the Intergovernmental Relations Committee this evening, October 4th at 7 p.m. to discuss the special town meeting articles that are listed below on the agenda. To participate, I should say the meeting may be recorded, may be broadcasted live over SMAC, which is StoughtonTV.com, and or recorded for later broadcast. And also in the agenda, it shows you how you can participate via the internet or telephone as follows. I'm not going to read all the details, but on the agenda we have the Google Meets path that you can just click on or punch in. And also to join the public hearing by phone, 1-307-463-1414, and there's a PIN number associated with that. I'm calling this meeting to order. Now it's 7:04 p.m. If we can all stand, if you're able, to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag's over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Okay, on the agenda, first item up is election of a committee chair. Any other officers? Is anybody interested in for us to be a committee chair of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee? Look at all those hands raised. I see them all. Anybody? If there's none, I'll just run the meeting. It's up to you, whoever. Okay, I don't see anybody. Frank, you interested? Big paying job, comes with all kind of perks.
If you do a good job, we'll double your salary.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'll just run the meeting if there's no objection. All right, can I get a motion to open the meeting?
Motion open.
So motion open the meeting.
Okay, Janice Schneider. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Frank Lyons. The meeting is now open. I should say, open the meeting and public hearing. This is a public hearing. So can I rephrase that motion? Can we get a motion to open the public hearing?
Yeah, we can.
So
Motion to open it.
So we'll take Janice and Frank second that?
Yep.
Okay, open public hearing. All right, the public hearing is now open. We're here to discuss the articles that have been assigned to the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, assigned by the Rules Committee. All right, first article up is Article 9, ADA projects. We have present here Town Manager, Tom Calder. Tom, would you like to...
Certainly.
Let me just turn the microphone towards you a little bit.
Is this
I
the
want
same
to,
thing?
yep, they're both on.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 9, first of all, let me start off by saying we have 23 articles. We'll be withdrawing 5 of them, and I'll be happy to explain the purpose behind withdrawing them. And so the first one we plan to withdraw is Article 9, ADA projects. This select board is very committed, along with Mrs. Mullen, in addressing the ADA problems we have. We're very fortunate we just received a $50,000 grant to do a comprehensive study of all buildings in town with regard to our ADA needs. So Mrs. Mullen and Paul Jaffoon and Pam McCarthy did a survey on their own before we got the grant. And there are 2 or 3 buildings that need immediate attention in the form of railings that are not ADA requirements. We're going to do those this fall, those projects, and we're going to do it through the current operating budget. because we've got this $50,000, we're gonna take a step back and look at all the buildings and have a professional who we hired yesterday do the complete analysis of all the properties, tell us exactly how we get in compliance. They'll get construction costs, we'll get independent pricing, and we'll bring it forth before the spring annual meeting. So rather than kind of do it in a ham and egg type of way, the best we could with no money, we're now gonna take a step back with the grant money and do it the right way and bring a more comprehensive and detailed article before town meeting this spring.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Any questions? Pretty much they're gonna withdraw that article, dismiss it. So let's not get tied up too much on this article, but go ahead, Melissa.
My only question is, as part of this grant review that we're doing, is that including schools, what the schools have also assessed, or is it just town buildings that are non-school?
I have to look at the scope of work for the consultant that Pierre McCarthy worked out. I would like to think it includes all of our properties, which includes the schools, but I'm gonna have to get back to you on the answer to that question.
Great, I appreciate that, thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. I'm just gonna note, you asked if the schools are involved.
Yep.
And we'll get back to you for sure, Melissa.
And if I may, Sam, can I just get a copy of those minutes so I'm reminded to do this follow-up? Thank you.
Did I mention that this meeting's being recorded? Did I say that?
Excuse me.
I don't know if I have.
Yes, you did.
I did? Okay, thank you. I got a lot of things going in my head here. 20 directions here. Are you a member of this committee?
Yes.
What's your name?
Alicia Rinaldi.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. I should say to everybody that logged in, everybody that's here present, thank you all for showing up. I know it takes an evening out and you have to get away from your family and everything, which is good or bad. It depends upon how you all look at it, but
But Bob, we're with you.
yeah, that's right. You're with me. You're in my company, and I'm in your company also. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you all again for showing up. Appreciate it. Okay, so Article 9. We're going to move on to Article 10. And I should say before you say anything, Tom, we're going to try to vote this evening too. So take notes because we got to wrap this all up. We're kind of in crunch for time with the calendar. So we're going to have to discuss it. We're in an open public hearing right now. Someone's waiting to join. I'm just looking for them. There we go. So take notes, whatever you have to do, ask questions, and then we'll close the public hearing later on this evening, and then we're gonna discuss it, the articles, and take votes, okay? Hope everybody, it's clear for everybody. So next article up is Article 10, Purchase of 30 Porter Street Property for Town Parking.
So as you know, Mr. Moderator, the owner of this property is my oldest and best friend. He's the closest thing to a brother I have. So I've abstained from any discussion on this article, and Mr. Tisdale, our Director of Development for the town, and Assistant Town Manager, is managing this article. He's agreed to, if we could take it out of order.
Sure.
He will come in here before we finish this meeting and go through this article in great detail. Tomorrow morning, I'm filing a disclosure with the clerk's office for the world to see that Stephen Astis is my best friend. He's the owner of this property. I've had nothing to do with this project, and I will have nothing to do with this project.
All right, so moved. Can I get a motion to take this out of order? Anybody have a problem? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, just voice vote, say aye.
Sure.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we'll take that out of order. We're gonna move on to Article 11, Solid Waste Bylaw.
Through you,
Tom?
Mr. Moderator,
Sure.
the solid waste bylaw is going to be withdrawn only because it's duplicative. When we did the articles, I was drafting one bylaw, town council was drafting another. As you may not be shocked by, his was better. So we're withdrawing the one that I drafted, and you'll see it in the later article, the bylaw that we are putting forth before the body. So this is one of the 5 that we're withdrawing.
Okay. So if there's no, unless anybody has any questions, there's no reason to even discuss this one. Everybody good with that? Okay. Let's move on. Next one up is Article 16, Roadway Resurfacing.
Mr. Moderator, through you, this article is what we typically do at the annual town meeting. The resurfacing plan for the town, which is aligned with the underground infrastructure plan for the town, water and sewer. We align them so we don't pave a road and a year later have to dig it up and do a water line. So I know that may sound novel, it wasn't done before. So the reason we're doing at the fall town meeting is what we've found, and I think the finance committee has concurred on this, they like the policy, is when we do it in the spring, by the time we have bond council review to do the borrowing, it's already September. So we're getting the back end of the construction season, and frankly, we lose any lead time we can use to buy out the resources. For instance, there'll be thousands of yards of linear, thousands of feet of linear pipe that if we're doing the project in September and we already have approval at the very beginning of the construction season, we can market pricing. We can buy it at a cheaper price. We can get a preferred slot on the contractor's schedule for the construction season. When we don't have approval to spend the borrowing until September, it's like being the last one to the buffet. It's a very, I've asked the finance committee to work with us on a policy where we do this at the fall town meeting and not at the spring town meeting. I won't speak for them, but they seem to have concurred and agreed with that. So this is the annual road surfacing bill, and in the backup materials, it's got the roads that will actually be resurfacing. And that list is determined by the evaluation that had been conducted 4 years ago of all the town roads and the conditions. So the decision is either made on the condition of the roads or on the need to do the underground right now. And therefore we resurface the roads at the time we do the underground infrastructure work.
Okay, all set?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna take questions from the committee. Anybody from the committee have questions?
Excuse me?
So if that was done 4 years ago, how do we know that something didn't drastically change on one of them, whether it's the pipes or the surface of the road?
Sure. The study from 4 years ago is a guideline. It's not the only determinant factor. We are inspecting roads, Paul is inspecting roads year-round. And we will make modifications to that list because some of them that were in poor condition 4 years ago that may be on our list has held up and is still in poor condition but still safe. There are others, as you pointed out, that have deteriorated, that may have been in acceptable but not poor condition 4 years ago. And since that time, either the underground needs to be done, perhaps the sewer system has failed, and we have to put that up on the priority list. So we do as many roads as, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just wanting to make sure that it was gonna be reviewed again, just in case something was horrible and that needed to take priority.
No, I appreciate that, Jeff. You rest assured that it's like fighting for limited dollars, people advocating for their roads year-round, and at the end, difficult decisions have to be made, and all those factors are taken into consideration. Well, there was
I
another
also have a question
Oh, sure, Alicia?
about the 4-year-old study. Is that a typical lifetime of like this road project? It seems like a long time to wait.
It should be every year, but until we did construction this year, there hadn't been road surfacing done. I bet it was done 1 year out of the past 10. Stoughton had really let its road and its underground infrastructure fail. With this next year's set of roads, we'll be at 24% of the roads have been resurfaced. And most of them are in that category where they need to be considered for resurfacing sooner than later. The town didn't do it for a long time, and I understand why. But now that we have closed the structural deficits in the operating budget, we're gonna have more free cash. Because we stopped using free cash in our operating budget in FY25, we have more borrowing capacity at lower rates. So the town's financial health has improved significantly in the past year. We had 6 departments that were losing close to $5 million. And those have all been addressed. And that, the money that comes from closing those gaps, we can now start investing in infrastructure, either with that money or with the borrowing capacity it brings us, because we've got a much stronger, healthier balance sheet now.
You okay?
For years, we just didn't do the construction.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee?
I just,
Sure, Frank. Frank
so
Lyons?
this was done, yeah, Frank Lyons,
I believe it was 4 years ago.
4 years ago, so we're coming due for a new plan?
We have enough data right now, it costs money to do this.
Right.
We have enough data right now to keep us very busy for the next couple of years by doing visual inspections and checking it against that audit.
Right.
But if we need to do another plan, we certainly will.
All right, is there any,
We don't
Thought
need
of
it
that?
right
You don't
now
need
because
it?
there's so much work to do
okay,
and only limited dollars to do it.
Okay.
Hey, if we had the $38 million that we're estimated it'll cost to all the roads, if we could do it all in 1 year, we'd put that out for bid. Right now, we're still dealing with what we call the low-hanging fruit, the roads that are really in need of repair now, either because of the underground or because of the surface. We're making great progress though. The township feel pretty good about it. We even satisfied Bob's neighborhood. Not all the roads, because they weren't all in need. He didn't talk to me for a month after that. Great question.
Any other questions, Frank?
no, that's it for me.
Anybody else from the committee? All right, we do have a member of the public online. Anybody from the public? If you have a question, please identify yourself, name and address. Did we hear something there? Thought I heard something. Peter, is that Peter Murphy out there?
He's on mute.
Peter, you're muted. If you had a question, Peter, raise your hand. We kind of work out the technical problem you're having.
He's just gonna unmute.
Yeah, just unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, Peter. No? Okay. We're gonna move on. Anybody, last call for any other, Peter, go ahead, I see you. No questions, okay. Thank you. We're gonna move on to the next article then. Next up is Article 17, the water main upgrades and improvements.
Mr. Moderator, that's still the same premise. We're doing it in the fall now instead of the spring to get out in front of the construction season. Again, that's based upon an annual evaluation, not this, but an annual evaluation we do. We still have pipes in our infrastructure that are over 100 years old. Over 100 years old. And we've got tremendous data on those pipes in terms of the quality of water that goes through them. And so our water department does the same annual assessment and makes a priority list of what's got to be replaced, and that's where this plan comes from. It's the same premise as the streets, the same deliberation on which roads, and those two department heads have to build a consensus on what we're approaching and why. And they give very good, solid answers as to how each street, each underground infrastructure gets on the list.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the people in the computer world there remotely on this article, which is Article 16?
I have a question.
Yes, wait a minute, Peter, you're from the public. First, I gotta hear from the committee. I should clarify that. First, the committee members
Sorry.
speak. We'll get right to you after them. Go ahead, anybody? Janice?
Thanks, Bob. My question is, and maybe you've already answered this, but help me out here. So you're looking at doing the roads, and you're also looking at the pipes and whatnot underneath. And these are gonna be coordinated on a very deliberate basis, so that we're not fixing a road and then coming back a year later to fix the pipes.
That's exactly right, Janice. We meet weekly throughout the year to incorporate citizen input, citizens' complaints, citizens' ideas, engineering input, and we come up with that plan. It is led first by the need for underground infrastructure. That's the first phase we go through, and then we go through the conditions of the roads to determine after the infrastructure needs. We then reach out to Eversource, National Grid, Verizon, and the gas company to see what their 5-year plan is. They're not always cooperative, particularly the gas company is not always. We've had situations where they told us nothing for 5 years, and then they open up a road a year after we do it. Now, they will pave it again afterwards at their expense, but we're doing the best we can to get all stakeholders' input. I can tell you that coordination between department heads, water, sewer, and roads is second to none. Didn't always happen, but it's happening now.
And you're doing this now in the fall to get ahead of the bidding process to take full advantage of the construction season we have?
Exactly, you've stated it perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janice. Anybody else in the remote world? Seeing now, I'm gonna ask the committee members present. Frank Lyons?
Yeah, now, we're talking streets and we're talking water. Now,
And
what's
sewer,
and sewer, so, but water and sewer is a different funding?
yes, they're
Then the
both
streets?
enterprise, all three are enterprise.
Oh, they're all
I'm
enterprise?
sorry, water and sewer enterprise funds, streets are not,
Okay, so the enterprise fund is paying for the water and the sewer,
that's correct.
and the streets are coming out of free cash?
You got it. Or borrowed,
Over.
yep.
Is that all you got? Okay, very good. Alicia, any questions? All right, let's open it up to the public. Peter Murphy, go ahead.
My question would be, are the streets identified on which water mains are gonna be, changed? And the other question would be, when they change these water mains, are they also gonna, look at increasing the size if needed?
First of all, hello, Peter, this is Tom. The answer is yes, but they're two separate reports. The underground is one report, the streets are a second report. It's not always replacing the mains. When we do replace the mains, we upgrade to the best practices. And it could be different materials, it could be different couplings. I know you're in that business. It could be different everything. We go with the most highly recommended means and methods and materials. But we don't always, it's not always opening up the ground to replace the mains. It could be a leak, a known leak. We've got tremendous data right now that shows us where our leak system, you know this, Bob, IED, the camera.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what you call it.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
calling it. We do.
Some type of electronic,
We do monitoring
Yeah.
and videos of our system every year. And so in high use areas, we can tell by doing the underground videos and the cameras what's failing or what's about to fail, what may have a minor leak in a water line, what may have a minor leak in a sewer line. And that gets on the list because of that. Because if we have a leak in a water line, that's increasing our wastewater or sewage disposal, which is very expensive. So we may prioritize a water line, not just to upgrade the main, but to provide repairs that we discover through our annual maintenance program of videoing lines.
I think when I was asking about the streets, are the streets identified on which streets will have the water main replaced?
Yes. Yes, and that'll be in the town meeting booklet, and we can get you that information tomorrow if you'd like. It's been published.
No, it's, I can wait till Friday.
Okay,
What's Friday?
we release it.
Oh, do you? Okay. Any other questions, Peter?
That's it, I'm good.
All right, thank you, Peter. I don't see anybody else from the public. Anybody on the phone lines? I don't see any phone lines in here. I'll give a minute, a couple of seconds anyways. Anybody from the public on the phones? Let me see. No, I don't see anybody. All right, Peter, I think you're the only person from the public. Welcome. All right, any other questions from the committee members, either in-house or online on that article? Okay, we're done with Article 17. We're gonna move on to Article 18, which is property located at 760 Washington Street. Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. 18 and 19 are the same story, and I had a conference call with the moderator, the finance committee, or the chairman, the vice chair of the FinCom, myself, finance staff. I want to share with you the purpose behind these articles. We've had a hole in the ground in the center of town for close to 15 years. We've got a state theater that is nearly condemned, will be condemned soon. It's rat infested, it's mold infested, the roof is leaking. Both of them are a drag on our economic development plan for downtown. So I notified the owners of both buildings on August 1st, asked them what their plan is for those respective properties. Neither one of them had a plan. And so I told them that I would be approaching town meeting with regard to exercising our right of eminent domain. Now, I'll get to what we would do with it if we take it by eminent domain. But both of these articles are gonna be withdrawn. And the reason they're gonna be withdrawn is we've engaged an appraiser to give us the appraised value of these properties. We will not have that full appraisal. It's very detailed by town meeting. So we're gonna withdraw this and put it off to the spring town meeting. Here's the issues that I'm sharing with you, information that is now public. The owner of the hole in the ground assured us on August 1st that he was gonna move forward and promised to give us a work plan, a schedule by September 1st. We got the schedule from him on September 1st. Steel was being ordered, contractors were being hired, they would be framing it with the steel structure by November. We received a notice from him last week, and it's in the town meeting packet, that he's terminating all plans to develop it, that because of interest rates, inability to borrow, inability to raise equity money, supply chain problems, he's putting off all of his plans indefinitely. So I informed him that we were gonna move forward, exercise the town's right of eminent domain, or at least I was putting that recommendation before town meeting. It's their call. Now, let's say town meeting in the spring, we are putting it off till the spring. This is being withdrawn. Let's say in town meeting says yes. Part of that presentation is gonna be what we would do with it. We would look to the planning board and to our development office to give us the best, most practical use of that site. It is designed, permitted, and shovel-ready to build 22 apartments with a commercial first-floor storefront. They could start work on that tomorrow. But we know that the owner is trying to sell the project. In fact, we've referred contractors to the owner. He said that he's into the property for $1.5 million between buying the burned out building, demoing it, disposing of it, putting in the foundation, architectural design, and so forth and so on. We believe the appraised value is gonna come in somewhere around $500,000 to $600,000. We can buy it through eminent domain at the appraised value. If we take it at the appraised value, we would then put it out to bid or subcontract a builder to build what the town wishes would be there. I suspect it would be housing, or we're starting all over again, right? I suspect that in doing that, we will not only get our money returned to us, we'll actually make a profit on it. It's not our intent. It's our intent to stimulate action on that site. But that would be our plan. Our hope is that between now and next spring, that the owner of the property sells his project to a competent builder who can move forward immediately. We're not builders. But at the end of the day, it's been there 15 years. It's about time we control our own destiny. So if, in my recommendation, it's a town meeting vote, it's not mine. My recommendation on the Malcolm Parsons site, if they don't act, if they don't sell it, and even if somebody buys it and doesn't move forward, we take it and we put it out to bid for builders across the country and take the highest and best value. And lo and behold, Stoughton may actually make money and get action on that site. Now I can move on to the State Theater in a minute, Bob, unless people have questions on that article.
Well, let me ask first, committee online, anybody online have any questions? Committee members? Seeing none? In-house here? Frank
I
Lyons?
always have a question.
Sure, that's
I
okay, that's
appreciate
your
that.
right.
Appreciate that.
Has Stoughton ever done anything even remotely like this successfully?
No, no.
And
Happens in towns all across the Commonwealth.
right, but we're just We're Stoughton.
with Stoughton. And that's why it's been sitting there for 15 years.
Oh, no, I get that. No,
I
I
get
don't,
two-
I don't like holes in the ground.
I get 2 complaints a week. Why isn't anything being done on
Yeah.
that site?
But I have seen other projects in town stall. If this looks like you're gonna propose it, I would make sure that you had a bulletproof plan detailed on how this would work. Because, you know, it would be great if we made money, but as you pointed out, we're a town, we are not a builder.
And we don't intend to build.
Well, but it's also, we're also not a business trying to make money,
Right.
all right?
And we're not trying to make money.
Right. But
We're trying to get action.
I wholeheartedly support that. But-
Stoughton has been mistreated by businesses and developers for decades.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are bad partners, I mean, there's no question.
And you know, you hired a turnaround guy who
Yeah.
gets action. And I'm not gonna drive by that place every day. It's not my decision, I'm not a citizen, it's town meeting. And it'll be as bulletproof as it can be. There's no set formula. City of Chelsea was in receivership. The town manager took over there, his name is Jay Ash. He became the Secretary of Economic Development, a dear friend of mine. Because he did things like this, it's one of the most financially rich communities. It's as rich as Newton right now. So we're either gonna be a victim or we're gonna take action. It's not my call. I'm just a facilitator who humbly works for the citizens of this town, who in my opinion, have been treated poorly for a long time.
I wouldn't argue that, I've been in town a long time and I've seen the best of intentions. We've had 15 years of good intentions with that holding around. So.
And if we don't do something, we'll have another 15 years. Because if the owner controls it, we can't dictate, other than through eminent domain, that he take action. I'm not a real good victim.
No, I get it. And you withdrew it anyway, so we'll see what
10 months ago, we
the
had,
second page looks like.
10 months ago, we had structural deficits in 6 departments that were bankrupting this town. We have no deficits now. Because of the support of town meeting. They supported the action, the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, did their due diligence, and at the end, supported our plan. None of those plans were without risk, but now we don't have, other than V&A, which will have structural deficits, because Medicare pays half of what they used to pay, we don't have any more departments that are running a structural deficit, including our healthcare program. So now we're focusing on the proactive stuff. And it's not just these 2 buildings, I can name 6 more. What are we doing?
We don't wanna go outside the scope too much.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, I'll
Martin.
give you a little room, but.
I appreciate that.
Okay, no problem, Tom. Anybody else from the committees?
My enthusiasm gets out of
That's right,
control
that's okay.
sometimes.
Okay, I'll just gonna, even though it's being dismissed, I'll open up to, the public. Peter Murphy, you have any questions?
Yeah, one of the questions I would have is.
I see you,
If we were
Jess.
to purchase it,
What's that?
if we were to purchase this property, would we also get the plans that the builder has already spent money on for the building that he originally thought?
Peter, great question. If in the purchase and sale agreement, part of the appraisal is that asset, then it has to go with the building. But just so you know, it's been approved by our planning board, we've got everything. And there's nothing proprietary about it.
Well, that wouldn't be kinda like, stealing his notes and
It's public record now.
Public
Yeah.
record, and
Not that I wanna jump in.
just like the property and the foundation, we can take the assets associated with the property and the foundation.
the other thought would be, we talk about either A, parking, or B, green space. That would be 2 possibilities for that parcel of land.
Sure. But that would be starting all over again. And the will of the community is, darn it, get something done. And it did pass the planning board. So it went through community vetting.
I wasn't on the planning board at that time, so I have no comment with that.
Yeah, he's on the planning board now.
I know.
That was in the, all right, we all set, Peter?
That's it.
Thank you, Peter. Janice, you have a question?
Actually, my question has to do with State Theater, so I'll wait.
Okay, all right, anybody else? On the committee or public? No? All right, we'll move on to the State Theater, which is Article 19, property located at 797 809 Washington Street.
Mr. Moderator, same backstory.
Yeah,
We had a conference call with the owner, who's an older gentleman. We asked him what his plan was. He was very candid in that he's got no plan. And we informed him that in the absence of a plan, we're not gonna stand by idly much longer and let it deteriorate for another 15 years, given that it's a drain on the development of our downtown. He said, what do you propose? I said, we will exercise our right of eminent domain if approved by town meeting. He came back to me a week later and said, look, we'll sell you the property for $1.9 million. That property, our best estimate because of its condition, don't quote me here, but will appraise at somewhere around $700,000 to $800,000. So we told him that we had very little interest in that price point, that we were moving forward with eminent domain. My recommendation, again, I want to continue to say, I'm not a decision maker. I just bring the option before the legislative body of the town, which is the town meeting. My recommendation is we do the same thing. If he takes no action by the spring, we take it for the appraised value. We include in that borrowing, I'm talking about the one building, not the storefronts. We include in that borrowing the demolition of that site. We take feedback from, especially from the planning board, as to what they want on that site. And I won't go off script, Bob, but we met with, we did meet with Congressman Lynch 2 weeks ago at our legislative breakfast. He's working on getting the post office to move, and the plan for that would be green space, a park. And once we tore it down and got guidance from the town as to what they'd like to see there, maybe it's a theater, then we would do the accelerated permitting process. We'd do in-house the schematic designs. We'd do everything we need to do, and then through procurement under 30B, we would put the project out to bid for a qualified bidder to pay us back for what we have put into it, and maybe, it's not our intent, maybe it's not a sin that we make a profit on it. And if that's the case, we sell it with clear understanding that you must build what the town wanted and what we permitted it for. It's again, us controlling our own destiny. That's the plan.
okay, thank you, Tom. All right, committee members, Janice?
How does this affect the folks at Acapulco?
The folks where?
One more time, Janice, we didn't hear you clearly.
I'm sorry, how does this affect the restaurant Acapulco in the building?
Oh, Acapulco, how does it affect the restaurant?
Janice, since I eat there about 3 times a week, we will protect it with our life. So all we would do there is, our target is the building, but as you know, Acapulco's right in front of the building. If we couldn't separate it, all we would do is make part of the bid to change the front to match the building, not affect the business. We'd upgrade so it looks like it blends in with the community. And for whatever
But their business, would their business be disrupted?
As we know, let's say that's a residence, their business would benefit big time by, a large amount of people living right in front of their building. Any
No argument.
business is temporarily interrupted by construction, but I know those people pretty well now from going there. They certainly don't want a building of that type in their backyard. It's not good. It's not good for business. Great question though, Janice. Thank you.
You all set, Janice?
Yep.
Okay, Jeff?
So if we were to take eminent domain, is there any legal recourse on the current owners that they could say, oh no, you can't do that and disrupt our plans? Or it's basically, they gotta either do something or they sell it for the value and it's a closed book?
The only way, Jeff, we have legal liability is if we don't do it properly. And that's why, on the advice of council, they've asked us to put the question off until the spring, because the first step is to have a defensible appraisal and opinion of value. And we have a sense as to what opinion of value is, not good enough in that process. It's a $6,500 appraisal. And so we're budgeting that, excuse me. That's the starting point. And then Brian Winter, who was the attorney of record when the town went through eminent domain on the new fire department, and he's an expert in that area. That taking is beyond reproach, and there are no challenges. So the owner may not like it. Just for the record, even if the owner had plans, let's say he wanted to put an undesirable business. I don't have to give an example. An undesirable business, even if he's midstream, we can take that by eminent domain. We will pay for the value of what he developed. But right now, by his own admission, there is no plan at all. We'll only go through. The reason we're pulling it back is not because I've lost my energy. It's because I'm listening to council who said, don't start down this road unless we're checking every box. So that's what we're doing. So we'll be more prepared in the spring.
You all set, Jeff?
I have a question.
Oh, let me just ask anybody else in the committee that's online? Seeing none? Okay, we're gonna go to Alicia.
I have a question with respect to this article, which I understand is not, moving forward right now, but, are there options short of eminent domain that can resolve the question of blight in properties that we see in Stoughton? And I know this is a bigger question than just this one article, but I don't know if you could speak to that.
I'd be delighted to. Blight has many faces, right? We just did this, we're gonna speak about it next. We just did the solid waste program. It's called the beautification program. Stoughton has been dumped on for a long time. It's a wonderful community. I grew up next door in Avon. My first job was in Stoughton. I've seen Stoughton change, not for the better. We're gonna renew Stoughton to its former bluster by removing the blight caused by mismanagement of solid waste in this town, and by addressing the buildings, particularly in our economic target zone, which is downtown, that make us a very undesirable location for development. We can't force a private landowner to execute their plan. There's nothing we can do on that hole in the ground or in the State Theater short of us taking it. In the State Theater's case, condemning it. It's the whole purpose of eminent domain. When something is creating a public problem or preventing a public opportunity, municipalities, state, federal government have got the right. It goes back to when the train tracks were run across our country. There were good businesses that had to be relocated because they were right in the path of the train tracks. It's the greater good, according to government. So we put all the pressure over the past 15 years on the last article on Malcolm Parsons. Our planning board did an outstanding job. Everybody did an outstanding job. In spite of that, by their written admission, they have no plans for that big swimming pool. And so it's our only option. On the question of this article, the State Theater, there are so many people, including myself, that would like to see that be a theater. It's a landmark in our town. Right now, it is just a rotting blight. And it's been like that for a long time, and the owner, by his admission, has got no plans for it. So we're in the position we're in, and the only remedy available to governments are eminent domain. I personally, and when I was in the legislature, I filed legislation to this effect. I take offense to eminent domain. I don't think it's great. But our downtown is what it is because of these two projects and because of a post office that should be a green space and in a more safer location. So we've got a plan on all three of them. I know that was a long-winded answer to your question.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you both. Melissa, would you have a question?
Yeah, just along the lines of, acquiring these properties potentially, and I know that this is a little bit down the line, but we also have other buildings like the Armory
Yep.
that we don't have planned, that's just been sitting there, so as we're looking at this, I'm like, we're taking something on with the hopes that they'll follow all of the process and what we've outlined, but we already have properties on our books that aren't really being utilized and are beyond disrepair. I'm not quite sure what, category the Armory would be in at this point. I know it's not, people really can't get in there, short of the DPW using the outside for some
Collection of
storing
junk.
of, cars, whatever you want to call it, yeah. So I just I want to understand where we're going as a whole, and I'm not trying to take it off track, and I understand it's being withdrawn, but if we're putting this out there as potentials, what are we doing about even that location?
Well,
Which is my source.
Melissa, I appreciate your question, but I don't want to get into discussion of the Armory. But if you want to generally ask,
I'd love to
if
answer.
you want to just ask in general terms,
In general terms, Stoughton politics is very strong. There is a group in town that wants that to be the next police station. We don't need a new police station. And it would cost upwards of $60 to $70 million. We've got new schools to build. If we are able to implement the plan you're gonna hear about when Mr. Tisdale comes in here, then we don't need a new police station. We'll be able to use the public parking lot to add on to our existing police station and save $30 million. I can't get in the middle of that political debate as to how that should be used, but I've gone on notice with my board that we have to make a decision this year. Because if that's not going to be used as a police station, which I strongly oppose, but I'm not a citizen of the town, then we should change the deed so that we can sell it in the private sector. Right now, it's got a deed restriction where it must be used for government use. We don't have a need for it. And it's just, I criticize the owners of the State Theater and the Hole in the Ground for not developing a plan. We're just as guilty with the Armory. And I drive by it every day, and I do a slow burn. We need action on that. Just for your record, and this last thing I'll say, Bob, all of the stored equipment that's at the Armory and unused equipment that's at DPW is being auctioned off at the end of this month in a public auction. We hope to raise $250,000 for equipment that we no longer use.
I appreciate that, thank you so much.
Thank you
Okay,
for the
thank
question,
you.
Melissa.
Anybody else from the committee before we open it up to the public? All right, Peter Murphy, a question on this article. Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
Okay, my question comment would be is I believe, and I'm probably going back like 5 or 6 years ago at town meeting, there was an article that came about for buildings that are questionable, unsafe, a hazard to the town, that the town could actually take them, like you say, eminent domain, they could tear them down, and the owner of the property would pay for the demolition of these buildings, or the demolition of the property. And I'm not sure what year that article was put through, but I believe they kind of give you a timeline. I think Howard Hanson was the moderator at the time.
I don't believe that article passed though, Peter.
You believe it didn't pass, I believe it did, so
Well-
that's where we differ.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Mr. Town Manager.
even if the town meeting members passed an article that said if we take the land, they must pay for the demolition, I can tell you that would not stand up in court. We're buying the asset as it exists. And if there's a standing building there, we're buying the dilapidated standing building. I don't think there's a law in the Commonwealth that could allow us to force them to demo it, and then we'll take the clean property. Even if town meeting passed it, it would not pass legal muster.
Well, I think, let me rephrase that. Before we buy it, the building could be deemed unsafe. It's like if you go through Boston, you'll see various buildings with big X's on them. That tells the fire department, do not enter those buildings. And at some point, the city of Boston has those buildings demoed and flattened out. I mean, and we're in the same situation here. If a fire was to happen at that theater, I mean, it would be a hell of a bonfire, but, and again, it's the safety of the firemen, safety of the people around that building. So I think that you may wanna look back at previous town meetings, and I can talk to you about that offline.
Sure, Peter, I'd love to hear it.
We put something on the books in regards to taking care of that the owner's responsible to making his property safe. And that was the whole premise of the whole article. But that's just, again, going back anywhere from 7 to 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I'll certainly ask town council the question, Peter, but I was in the demolition business. I tore down a lot of condemned homes, and in each case, my customer was the city. Now, maybe they sued the homeowner after that, or the business owner. I don't know, in civil court, but we were always hired by the town or the city.
That's all I got.
We'll definitely look into it, Peter.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Anybody online? I don't see anybody else, any other public members of the public? No? All right, I think we're done with Article 19. On our agenda, the next article is Article 21, Municipal Charges Lien.
Mr. Moderator, this Article 21 is tied in part to Article 20, which is not on our agenda for this evening. Article 21 is I just have to explain what Article 20 is briefly so you know what Article 21 is. Article 20 is the bylaw that allows us to enforce the solid waste and town beautification program. It allows us, if somebody just completely disregards the program and the policy and throws a mountain of furniture up on their driveway, and we notify them that day and say, you need to remove it, and you need to dispose of it the proper way, and if you want us to do it, here's the phone number. And they say, no, I'm leaving it there. In part, this bylaw gives us the right to go pick it up that day, so it's not sitting on your streets for days or weeks at a time. It's a particular problem with landlords and tenants. That's where the primary issue exists today. And it allows us to pick it up and to charge them. And if they don't pay it, to lien their property the same way we would with water and sewer. It gives the solid waste program the teeth to implement it as written and to meet the objectives for beautification that we've set with this program. The second part of it deals with people from out of town who we know, we've got dozens of examples, the police are investigating them all, of out-of-town people who bring their rubbish, their garbage, to Stoughton, knowing that for years we've had a lump sum and you could throw your entire bedroom set, kitchen set, dining room set of your whole family into a stockpile and we would take it. That's illegal dumping. That's a felony. People get arrested for that. You probably read online last night, this bylaw would deal with that, of the gentleman who doesn't like our new program, so he took the rubbish that was left behind, because he didn't follow the law, and he took it and he spewed it up and down Plain Street. Just spewed it. It's all over Facebook. He's being called in. It's being investigated. He doesn't deny he did it. That is a felonious illegal dumping act. But that's what people think they can do in the town of Stoughton. So this bylaw, which we're putting before the town meeting, gives the town and the police and DPW the right to clean things up today, even though the generator of that waste says, no, I'm not doing it, when it's on the curb. That's primarily what it's about. That's Article 20, which is not on your agenda. Article 21 is the right to give it's the right that gives the town. It is the mechanism that gives the town, for those who do this and refuse to pay, the right to lien the property, just as we do with water and sewer and solid waste. If they don't pay, their property can be liened. Seldom are, because we work out payments, and people want the town to be clean. But if we don't have this mechanism, as enumerated in Article 21, we can yell and scream and complain and be remorseful over not being able to do anything about it. This gives us the bite to be able to enforce it. We're not talking about the everyday citizens of Stoughton, and I don't mean to diminish anyone's reputation, but 90% of our problems are with tenants of multifamilies who will put it out there on Monday for a pickup on Friday, and it sits there as a blight for 4 days. And the stuff's blowing all over the place, and it's going down the street, it's going in the yard across the street. Under our new system, this gives us the right to call them that day. Our inspector, people call us. If you see something, say something. Our office will call them and say, as you know, we've got a new program. It began October 1st. You're in violation. Your stuff is on the curb on Monday. It doesn't get picked up till Friday. You need to remove it, or we will come get it if it's still there this evening. We will charge you for it, and if you don't pay for it, then we will lien your property. That's what this bylaw is.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Town Manager. All right, let's open it up to questions by the committee online first. Anybody online? The committee members? Don't see any raised their hands. In-house here? Anybody? Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if this is on the article we're not talking about.
It's
But-
the lien.
Yeah.
The
But
article's lien.
what's the definition of trash?
Rubbish.
So it's rubbish. If I'm restoring a car in my driveway and I get in a fight with my neighbor, you're not gonna come by and take my car.
That's your personal property. That's not
Okay.
trash.
All right. And
I'll
that-
give you an example, Frank. The bylaw says all rubbish that we pick up weekly must be in a bag, a plastic bag,
Yeah.
of your choice, a plastic bag. And if you wish, put it in a barrel, put it in a plastic bag, put the plastic bag in the barrel. This does not apply to people who don't have great housekeeping standards and their yard's a mess. If there's a health issue, the health agent will go down there, but that's not part of the rubbish program. If they put all their household furniture, because they're moving out of that apartment, and you've all seen it, in a massive stockpile, we will come get that by appointment. They call, we tell them what day, we tell them what time, we pick up 5 days a week now, we were picking up one. That stuff used to go into the back of the rubbish truck. We'll come pick it up. But if they put it out there and leave it out there, by the end of the day, our inspector is notifying them they've got to bring it in. It's part of the beautification commitment. Neighbors are calling us now and saying, why is this stuff stockpiled? We will reach out to the homeowner, ask them to put it inside, put it behind their house. It's their property. They can put it where they want. It cannot be on the curb. It's not for a car you want.
And the other question on that is, this might be going a little off topic, but with the putting the stuff on the curb, it's easy if it's there Monday and it's supposed to go out Friday. But now, if they put it out? What's the cutoff? I mean, can they put it out Thursday night?
Sure you can. Yeah, anytime after 4 o'clock you can put it there.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, if you put it there at 2 o'clock, you're not going to get an inspector in your house.
Yeah,
We just
well,
had to
yeah.
pick a time.
Yeah, because my parents are elderly.
Yeah, exactly.
And people help, and when they can get out there, it might be out there.
And in the dead of
before.
winter, you don't want them walking down that driveway at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I hope it goes out at 2, and no one's going to say anything.
Okay.
If their pickup is the next day.
Yeah.
Now, look, we're not trying to be the trash police, but there's been, the town has voted and the board has approved this beautification plan. We're gonna be doing a town-wide cleanup, 2 dates in the spring. Stoughton is a beautiful community when it's not being dumped on. And we get such support from people who want their town to look like the old Stoughton. And we can do that, that's within our control. But I can tell you, we're the 3rd day of the program. It's been a miserable 3 days. The calls we get are off the chart from people, in spite of all the public information sessions, know nothing about it. and we're leaving material behind that's not bagged. This is a commercial I'm doing now for the people that are listening. And we leave it there. And we leave a tag that says, here's the policy. And then we leave our brochure that says, this is who you call. You can either remove it, or we'll come get it tonight. But you'll pay us to make that second trip. People will see the difference in 90 days. By the spring, people will see the difference.
Okay, all set, Frank?
So
Thank
this
you. Thank you,
article is about the teeth needed to enforce it.
Thank you. All right, anybody else from the committee? Seeing none, Jeff, go ahead.
Nope. So, what about a property owner that doesn't have things on the curb, but their entire front yard looks like it has garbage all over it? I know one particular property, when I take walks in the neighborhood, that's like that in Stoughton.
Jeff, we have other departments like the health department that, it's a fine line. People have the right of quiet enjoyment of their property, and you and I may not appreciate the way other people live. If it's creating a health hazard, it won't be our rubbish inspector that'll come down, but it'll be our health agent that will come down and ask them to clean up their site, particularly if it's as a response to a neighbor's complaint. That's not part of the solid waste program, though. That would be part of our health agent's purview. And I hear what you're saying. I've got those people down the street from me in Kingston, and it infuriates me. But they do have a right of quiet enjoyment, and they live the way they live. Maybe when we clean up our streets and our curbs, they'll be inspired. That's my hope.
It's actually been like that for years.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
For instance, if somebody, using your example, Frank, if somebody is a single-family home with 3 bedrooms and they've got 12 cars in front of the house, that's a zoning violation. Our zoning enforcement officer will go there. If what they've got in front of the house is rubbish and it's attracting varmints,
Rodents, yeah.
rats and stuff, that's a health violation. We have not done a good job as a government of protecting our neighbors' interests when people are out of compliance, but we're not going to bother them if they're not out of compliance.
Okay, we must move on. Anything else, Jeff?
Yep.
Anybody else from the
Nope.
committee? In person? Nope. I'll be, public, Peter Murphy, any questions on this article? Going once? Going twice, Peter? Don't hear anything? Okay,
Well, I will get Mark.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, I was just gonna take a quick break.
I want
Well,
to thank everybody for
Thank
acknowledging
you,
me.
Tom
Appreciate it.
Coulter, our town manager.
And Mark will come in and speak to that.
Sure.
Thank you. Frank, what a pleasure. Take care. It was nice meeting you. Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Tom. All right, we're just taking a brief recess while we're waiting to see Mark Tisdale. Don't anybody leave.
So all the most interesting ones get dropped.
Pretty sure he's on the last article.
Okay,
I just said to him, when you're done, go in there.
okay,
Okay, I hope it's not too long.
okay, thanks. Okay, this meeting's still being recorded, so we have to be careful what we say. I don't wanna shut off the recording because we would lose the whole, process of the recording, yeah. It'd be 2 different recordings, I don't think you can join them. Take more time to enjoy them a little
We
bit.
can't sing unless we sing well.
Yeah, don't, yeah. There's something called in key. I can't say it all,
I don't know
so-
anything about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't know anything.
If you wanna take a shot at it, maybe we'll listen, you know,
Yeah, that would get me thrown out.
yeah. But, no, interesting articles this time around.
Oh, the juicy ones got thrown out.
Oh, I know. Well, hopefully, I'm hoping town meeting will go a little quicker then, you know?
Yeah. Well, the uncomfortable chairs.
Yeah. Well, the problem
Bring a
is,
sports cushion. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, bring a
Steal
sports seat,
cushion
yeah.
from your kitchen seat.
Can I get here and do a sales pitch? U.S. bands. You guys know about U.S. bands? Oh, they all went away.
yeah, well, they're all taking a break.
But yeah, my son's in the high school band.
I'm hearing you, Frank. I'm planning on going. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great.
It's gonna be great.
When's this?
October 21st. It's
Where?
a marching band competition at the high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Out in the football
Everyone
field?
is
or-
always the best. As someone who used to be on the Stoughton marching band as the
Oh.
color guard, I suggest we support.
Oh, see,
Is it
we're
gonna be at
pitching
the
it.
stadium or
Yeah.
inside?
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Oh, wow.
All right, they're gonna, because they have
Is it
bands come-
Saturday? Is it a Saturday?
Is it Saturday? What's the 21st?
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Yeah,
It is?
usually
Oh, good.
competitions are Saturdays and Sundays, depending
Okay.
on
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is.
it's on the
Good.
weekend. But
That'd be
so,
great.
So if everybody just cross their fingers and say no rain,
Mm-hmm.
because it keeps raining.
Oh, dude, this Saturday is gonna rain again.
I know. Yeah, and the kids have competitions at other schools, and they keep
Right.
getting canceled.
Rain
Yeah.
date?
So you were in guard?
Yep, I was the captain my senior year.
Oh, cool.
I loved it. Would do high school again just
What-
for marching band.
What a great. Now, how long ago did you go?
So I graduated in 2012.
Okay.
So I was in the marching band from 2008 to 2012.
So who was that
I
Mr.
had
Kearns?
no, Mr. Kearns was assisting, but Mr. Davey was there at the
Okay.
time. Because after my senior year is when he left. Him and his brother. So his brother was still doing percussion,
Okay.
but the main Mr. Davey went off to teach music at Stonehill College. So after that is when I'm forgetting his name, the ginger guy came in.
Mr. Mand?
Yes, because
Okay.
my sister was also in the color guard for her entire. She was able to start in 8th grade though. We didn't have subbies when I started, so I had to start
Why do
freshman
middle
year.
school kids doing it now?
Yeah, and then they started winter guard as
Yep.
well. So she taught that for them a couple of years ago.
It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
What a great bunch of kids too.
Oh yeah. Marching band and marching band competitions are like one of the best things I've ever done. I still like talk about marching band as if I'm still in it.
My son's the tuba player.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And
What year is he in, Frank?
he is a sophomore.
Sophomore? So there's a few more years.
Yep.
Unless he goes to college and does it there too, because when the college exhibitions come to perform, it's like one of the best things ever.
The thing that surprised, we did not, well, my wife was a tuba player, but that is not why he plays tuba. But I guess, and this was after he started playing, that's like one of the easiest ways to get a scholarship,
Yeah.
because nobody plays tuba.
No one does. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
plays, yeah, so,
Usually they'll have like one. Like when I was in the marching band, we had one. But
Right.
I don't think we had one my senior year.
yeah, you gotta have one, because, like, you know, the grade, you know, class 4 and class 3 and
Yeah.
all that, based on the instruments as well
Yeah.
as the head count.
We always had a huge, like a pit though. Like
Yeah.
our pit was
Oh, the pit is
crazy.
Yeah, it still is. But yeah, I was surprised because if you think, like all the big time schools, they all have big marching bands, and you know, for the football and all that, and
They have like
all
3 or
have
4.
tubas, and they all need tubas.
Yep.
And it's like I wish I could say I was so clever and left the tuba sitting in the living room or something. But he just decided he liked it.
That's cool.
But yeah, so that's the sales
Frank, is there
schedule.
a rain date out there for the event in case?
What's that?
Is there a rain date?
They are discussing what might happen were it to rain. When I left because my wife, I think, is vice president of Pops, and they were talking about it, but I don't know that they have a firm plan other than doing the "It Will Not Rain" dance.
And do you know how many other schools are coming?
I think there's like a half a dozen
Okay. I think
thereabouts.
it's great, especially with the new high school, the new field. I think it's a great opportunity.
Well, and the layout is actually pretty good for that kind of thing, with all the schools near each other. Because what happens is, all the other schools come in buses, and you have to be able to park them. All right, so having the Wilkins there, the middle school there, all the fields around, it's very good location to actually do it.
Awesome.
Is
Yeah, 'cause
the,
you-
about to say, is the gym equipped for that? Because there was
It's all outdoors.
yeah, because there's times when, and this was emergencies, but when it rained and we were supposed to be at King Philip High School, we performed in their gym. Pain in the butt to do that because it's a standstill.
That's what I was hearing
But-
earlier tonight.
Yes, it's
They will
not
probably do
ideal.
something,
Yeah,
but even like the King Philip is Saturday.
yeah.
And I don't know if you've been watching the weather, but there's a tropical storm, hurricane thing coming this way.
King Richard's Fair already got canceled one day, and I rescheduled it to this Saturday, and it's raining again.
Oh, I've been to that museum. That's fun.
I was so excited. It was supposed to be Harry Potter weekend. Now I'm going to Men in Kilts weekend. It's not
Well,
really
Sunday's
long.
supposed to be nice. Sunday might be a nice day.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
Sunday is my rest day.
Oh, I'm sorry. But Saturday is supposed to rain, 80% chance.
Yeah,
And the percentage keeps going up.
yeah, and like I was watching the weatherman right before I came here. He was making
Yeah.
not encouraging sounds.
And sometimes the storm moves slowly, so we have it on Sunday too. Sometimes, you know, it hangs around.
And it looks like the last one that went right up to like Bar Harbor and Nova Scotia. It looks like it's going right down that same path.
Oh, really?
But
Yeah, hopefully. I was hoping we'd get out of here early tonight.
well, I can't sing, so I'll tell stories.
You wanna-
That was my first story. I'll come up with another one.
Does anybody, you know, there's a good app on it's iPhones. It's probably on the Androids too. It's called My Radar. Anybody have
Yep.
that? Pretty
Is that
good.
for storm tracking?
It tells you if it's gonna rain.
Yeah. Well, also it shows the storms and if it's clear too.
You know what's
Better
pretty?
than the radar and AccuWeather?
What's that?
Is it better than the radar?
Well,
I like it because you can actually see
Yeah,
stuff coming from
it'll give
Bermuda
you
or
alerts.
something. Yeah.
That are actually pretty good.
It's nice and graphical too. This is from
Is it
Down the-
colorful?
out by
Oh, it's a
Bermuda. So this storm is coming up.
Yeah, you know what I really like
It's
about
kinda
that
cool.
app?
What's
Because
that?
I got an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
All right, and I retired last week, so it's like I'm walking the dog a lot, and when I'm out like, on Bird Street or something, if it's gonna rain, it'll give me an alert on my watch.
Really?
Yeah, that it's
What's
time
the
to
app called again?
My Radar.
my radar.
My Radar.
All one word. My Radar. RADAR. My MY.
All right.
But it's really good for that because it'll give you like it's gonna rain in 10 minutes.
Right.
So I have a little discussion with my dog and we start heading out of the woods.
No, it's pretty cool.
It's a slick, yeah, that's a slick.
Yeah.
And I like the integration with the Apple Watch too. It's a
Yeah,
really
I don't have a watch like that. Yeah.
Oh, I'd say go for it. If you like that, it really pairs with it nicely.
Does it really?
Yeah. I mean, some of the things don't work as well on the watch, but
Yeah.
some things are really.
And you also can do layers. You can see if there's winds are coming, temperatures, clouds, all that crazy stuff, weather alerts.
Oh, but we're still recording, so
Yeah.
so you should get like a gratuity or something for
I probably should.
putting an advertisement out for them.
I just downloaded it. How many cents do you get?
I might.
For
I think I can stop this recording, but I can't stop that
that?
one.
What's it? The second you stop it, though, he's gonna come in.
Oh, I know. I'd rather just keep it going.
Just
Who
zoomed in on
can
me.
cut this? You know?
It's following you.
Yeah. No.
Right, cookies. We got to remember to have cookies. We're gonna be at the middle school because that's how you can crack.
Sam, can you look into the cookie issue?
I genuinely can if you'd like.
Yeah. What flavor you want? Well, they-
Chocolate chips.
A
and
Were
variety.
you the person that commented about that on?
On the email, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
I actually laughed out loud when I read it.
But see, that's how you crack it. All right, they're not going to say no at the middle school, and then they say, "Well, we did it last year."
You're technically in the cafeteria,
Yeah.
where food is permitted.
Yes.
So I see your logic.
Where are the cookies? Where are these cookies from? These mystery cookies.
I don't know.
I don't know where
Look
how
into it.
we get those, right?
Well, no. I think there was usually a PTO or some group would sell cookies. You know, to try to make a little money for.
Yeah, they weren't free. You put like $1 or $2 down.
Like in the
And
old
had coffee, too.
Yeah, in the old high school auditorium, I think there was a PTO group that would sell the cookies, raise a little funds.
Yeah, I don't know who it was.
Yeah,
All I know is I like the coffee and cookies.
yeah, coffee. Yeah, you can probably bring your own too.
Oh, but that's not.
All right. Well,
That's not a good deed. That's a snack.
right.
But are we permitting snacks? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't see a problem, but it's up to the school administration. Yeah, I wanna.
Only if you ask.
I'll ask you.
And
I'll
say,
ask for Frank.
"Please."
I'll ask for Frank. Yeah. You want any oatmeal cookies, oatmeal raisins too?
No, chocolate chip.
That's it?
I'm an
Chocolate chip?
oatmeal raisin.
I like
person.
oatmeal raisins, but I don't like the real soft ones.
Really?
I like the crispy ones.
Will be November. We can find gingerbread or something.
Yeah.
Tis the
Pumpkin
season.
stuff.
Get my pumpkin fill now. I love pumpkin, but part of me also was singing a Christmas song earlier today, so I was like, oh no,
Oh, I'm not
it's
there yet.
getting me. It's
I'm
getting
not
me.
there yet. We haven't even got
Time we got
Halloween
17. Oh,
I've been
goodness.
decorated for Halloween since August 28th.
We have
So
not
I'm
got
like,
it
oh
up yet.
man.
But see, that's mostly my son, and he's been busy.
Pardon me?
Are you done?
Well, we're waiting to
Porter Street?
We're waiting for Mark.
Mark on.
So,
Porter Street.
the reason he can't leave now is they're just about to do Porter Street here.
Oh, okay.
Do you wanna join that meeting?
I can't because they're online. They're
I
online.
see,
Yeah.
alright.
All right.
Let me ask the chairman, he's got 4 more, if he could just take it out of order.
Is Mark up now?
Not yet, he's coming up next.
Oh, okay. I might be able to, if I can call this group back, we can vote on the other articles. But,
I just hate holding you up.
yeah,
I don't know how to balance this between everybody.
we probably should close the public hearing, but I can't because,
What left?
yeah, we got one left. We can just vote in the public hearing. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, you're the chair.
yeah, if there's no objection. I'd like to call this, the recess over. The people in remote, can you come back online, at least let me know you're listening? Hi, there's Jeff. Is Janice there?
I'm back.
Melissa? Janice? There's Janai. Janai, how you pronounce your last name?
Mongol thing. It's said just like it spells, but it just looks like a lot of letters.
It does. Mongol Sen?
Mongol thing, yep.
Okay, thank you, Janai. All right, I think there's 1, 2, Melissa's here, 3, Janice. All right, Mark Tisdale's gonna be a little longer, so I think if there's no objection, we can actually discuss the other articles that we went over, and then we'll go back to Article, when Mark's available, we can go break and go back to Article 10, if there's no objection. If there's an objection, we wait. If I hear any objection, hearing none, all right, let's, take, Article 9 is being dismissed, so we're not gonna vote on that. We're gonna skip over Article 10 till Mark Tisdale comes here. Article 11 is being dismissed, so we don't have to vote on that.
He can do it right now, and then they'll,
Okay, Mark's
they'll- the
coming.
rest- I'll take his place up there.
If you okay with that, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mark Tisdale is coming. So, just everybody just stay where you are,
Hold that thought.
hold that thought. I appreciate everybody being here.
So we'll start with Article 16 after Mark.
Yes. If Mark comes in. If he doesn't, we'll start. Here he is. I'd like to introduce Mark Tisdale. Have a seat over here, Mark. Yep.
All right, thanks. Now I feel better.
Could you just identify yourself, Mark, for everybody?
Mark Tisdale, Director of Development Services.
Okay. We have this is a hybrid meeting. We have people online, who are committee members. We also have 2 committee members in front of you. So we do have a quorum here. So we're gonna be taking, we thank you for appearing before us. This is a public hearing. We're gonna take Article 10, the purchase of 30 Porter Street property for town parking. Mark, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me okay? All right.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Yeah, this article is to purchase the building next to the residential building lot next to Town Hall. As you can tell if you visited Town Hall, it's getting to be in disrepair. It's an older residential building. It's about a 3,200 square foot lot the building resides on. And it's mostly consists of the building and a small gravel driveway around it. The town's gone through, done an appraisal process on the building, hired a professional appraiser. They came up with a value of $391. Obviously, if you wanted to purchase the building, we'd also have to do some due diligence, such as like a 21E environmental assessment. That's about $2,500, and things like that. Some small change things, considering the price of the article. The article's for $440. That also includes the demo of the building and graveling the area after it's done. So it's like a gravel parking lot at first. Obviously, in the future, there would have to be future funding in place to pave the parking lot, put the landscaping in, and things like that. But essentially it'll consist of, I don't know if you got the backup information with the map and all that, but it's essentially about, because we can acquire that piece of property, we can construct about 20, again, I'm gonna say about, because we don't have a fully designed plan or survey yet. We're going by the information we have in-house and how we laid it out on that piece of paper. We can get 20 parking spaces, compliant parking spaces, so nice parking spaces, because we acquired that property. Please don't get that confused with, we can get 20 parking spaces on that property. It just allows us, since it abuts town hall, we can use some of the space next to town hall a little more efficiently, because there's a dumpster on that side of town hall where we can't park in front of. I think there's one usable space over there on that side of the drive aisle, and then on the other side there's 2 parking spaces that we have striped. But if you look at the GIS and other available information, it looks like part of those parking spaces might be actually on that property, on the abutting property we're talking about tonight. So we could have just maybe 1 or 2 actual parking spaces on the town hall currently right now that are compliant. This actually, what it does is it lines up a drive aisle, a compliant wide drive aisle. If you ever drove through that area where the dumpster is and people are parked on each side, it's very tight. People usually close their mirrors in, so they don't get swiped off, because it's just very tight. It's not compliant with our regulations. It just doesn't really work so well. But you would drive into this parking lot, again, if you have the map in front of you, you'll know what I'm talking about. It would be just like a normal parking lot you would drive into, like actually the other part of town hall, the parking lot in the rear. You drive up the middle and you got normal parking spaces on each side, 90 degrees. They're not parallel parking spaces, which by the way are inefficient, because you need a longer parking space for a parallel parking space than you do for a normal parking space, because you need to go forward and backwards to get out, as opposed to just backing out. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. The articles for 440. I try to take all the, there's been so much like politics around this piece of property in the past. A former town manager owns it. The current town manager is friends with that person, and I try to take all that out of it and throw it out the door, because I am an engineer by trade, and I try to just look at things not from that perspective. So from my perspective, if you wanted to expand the police station in the future, and you could move, say, currently there's about 15 cars that park in that other parking lot next to the police station, the municipal parking lot, you could in theory move those over to this area next to town hall. I think there's about 5 inspection vehicles, and usually I'm one of the cars that park down there, so I know that there's at least several other employees that have to park down there, because there's no other parking spaces around town hall, unless you park on the public parking spaces in the road, which usually have a 2-hour limit, and then you have to get out and move your car every 2 hours. So that, plus you're taking parking spaces away from the businesses that actually should be using those parking spaces in the area. So what that does is, again, first it would benefit the town if we were to expand the police station, which has been very heavily talked about, into that piece of land where the municipal parking lot is. You're able to move those parking spaces over next to town hall, which is a checkbox in my mind. And it's better, so you're not having to find another full piece of property, like in demoing a building such as the Armory. Has been talked about. There's a lot of cost in that, and plus you get to keep your police station, in the downtown, next to your town hall, and next to your future fire station headquarters, which is really important. I think you get that nice municipal campus feel. From a permitting standpoint, it makes sense. And then if you don't believe in that area becoming a police station expansion, which may or may not happen, nothing's written in stone, the other option would be, well, the police station goes somewhere else, and that police station site becomes an economic development site for the private sector. And if the municipal parking lot's available next to it, there's a much larger space for economic development. It's much more palatable for a developer to buy that area, being situated in the downtown. So again, from the engineer's perspective, it makes sense, because you're taking parking spaces from one spot, moving them closer to town hall where they should be, and you're giving the option for development on that other piece of property.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark, for your testimony. All right, we're gonna open it up to the committee members. We'll do the ones who are in the building first, Frank or Alicia, any questions?
I got nothing.
We can come back. Online, anybody online? Janai, go ahead.
You mentioned being able to move about 15 parking spots, but in the reality of it is they're making the vehicles larger and larger, and so I'm seeing in parking lots that these huge pickup trucks are taking up like 1.5 spots. What is the likelihood that, especially like police vehicles and stuff, those will, as they replace them, start to be those larger vehicles too? What's the likelihood that the 15 cars are going to be able to move and fit in that space?
Hey, that's a fantastic question. I appreciate that. So the parking spaces we'd be moving are not the police vehicle parking spaces. Those are inside the fence for the most part. Those are secured parking spaces. These are just municipal parking lot parking spaces that employees park in, and it's where we park our inspection vehicles in. They're all usually normal sized vehicles. We don't make that much money where we can drive the F-350s into work just yet, but we're hoping we get there. But we're not there yet. So, and another fun fact for that piece of property, those parking spaces marked in the municipal parking lot are marked very small. They're actually smaller than normal. So I have a pickup truck, a normal pickup truck, and they're difficult to fit over there. And in an already established parking lot, these parking spaces on this new area will be compliant with our zoning regulations and be bigger than those parking spaces. So from a personal standpoint, I'll appreciate it.
Okay. You okay, Janai? Any other questions, Janai?
That's all I got.
Okay, Janice? You have to unmute yourself, Janice. Here you go. Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you, Mark. So the amounts in this article are simply for the acquisition of the building and the land.
Acquisition and then demo cost associated with taking the building down. And there's a foundation there, obviously, so it would be to take the foundation out and then gravel the area, so it's usable.
So, but it doesn't take it all the way to the end game of parking.
No, what we would have to do is take this in a phased approach. If we require it, demo it, we would then do a full survey of the property, and then permit. We have to permit our own projects, right? So we would have to permit that through the planning board to come up with exactly what the layout of the parking lot would be and the construction of it, including landscaping. Obviously, we want this to look nice, so we don't want it just to be a vast amount of pavement. We want it to be surrounded with nice landscaping such as trees and shrubs and things like that. But that all has to go through the planning board.
Okay.
You
Thank
You okay, Janice?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Melissa, you're next.
I think piggybacking a little bit off of Janice's question, so I thought that the premise was to get more parking available for town hall individuals who work there. And I was going to ask, with the acquisition of the bank area where the rec department is that not an overflow area as well that could be used for people for parking?
That area there's actually public parking spaces over there.
Agreed.
It's for the public. If those are the parking spaces you're talking about, there are other employee parking spaces over there that get also utilized by people visiting the rec center. Personally, it is a pretty good distance, especially in the winter, to have employees go parking near the rec center and walking to town hall. That would be a concern. That would be a longer distance from where the municipal employee parking lot near the police station is right now. Could it work? Yeah. Is it convenient? No. There's also the parking spaces near the depot building that we have, but those will hopefully be used for whatever use the depot turns into in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Janice, back to you.
Yeah, thanks. Is the current owner, have you approached the current owner? I'm sorry, this may have been covered in backup, but I didn't see it. Have you approached the current owner and they're good with the amounts we're proposing?
I believe we have, yes. This has gone through our procurement officer. There's been discussions with that person. They're well aware of where we are in the process and what's going on.
Okay, alright, thank you.
Okay. Any other committee members, Frank?
I do have.
Sure.
What you gonna do with the little library? Could you put
It's
like,
always an I gotcha moment.
yeah, can you
It's
get like a $500 of that thing to go put somewhere nice?
I mean, yeah, honestly, it's probably part of that parking lot project would be probably to revamp that thing to get it even nicer, and it'd be more visible. If it, yeah, I didn't even think about it until you just asked.
Yeah, because
It would have to be
they
rolled
just,
into
you
the
know,
project.
the community put that there, and
Yeah.
they recently fixed it up, and it's kind of a nice idea.
It's a great idea, yeah. So we have to keep that obviously involved with the project. And these are the kind of things, when you go through the planning board process, that would probably pop up right away, and we'd roll it in with the project. If we either relocate it, put it in a better spot, rebuild it, whatever.
Yeah, because I think community members were involved, so you might want to reach out to them and
I
get
appreciate
input.
that. I did not know that. Thank you.
Okay, all set, Frank? Anybody else in the committee? Going last time around? All right, let's open it up to the public. Anybody in the public? Peter Murphy? Any questions? I don't see anybody else out there. Nobody on the phones. All right, going once, going twice, Peter. Okay, thank you, Mark. That concludes that article.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I don't know if you know about my niece who's doing the Eagle Scout thing up at Glen Echo, in Topfield. She put that, trails are all marked, she put a sign up.
It looks awesome. I saw it the other day.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, wicked cool. Have a good one.
Okay, now we have heard all the articles testimony that we're gonna hear that are on the agenda. I'm gonna ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a motion by any of the
So
committee?
moved.
Alicia made the motion, Janice, you wanna second that?
I do.
Okay,
Second.
so Alicia made the motion to close. Janice Schneider seconded. Just let me make a note here. Okay, I have to do this by roll call vote, just because we're a hybrid meeting, remote. I'll just go quickly. I need a yes or a no. Jeff Blacker,
Yes.
thank you. Melissa Lynch,
Yes.
thank you. Alicia Rinaldi,
Yes.
thank you. Janice Schneider,
Yes.
thank you. Janai Munglesai, Mungelson,
Rumble Singh,
Mungelson,
Rumble Singh. Yep.
thank
Yes.
you. Yes. And last one, Frank Lyons.
Yes.
Yes, okay, motion, the public hearing is now closed. Now, we're gonna openly discuss and talk about these articles, if you so desire, and the first article to talk about is Article 10. Right on top, second on the list, Article 10, the information we just heard about 30 Porter Street. You don't, part of the discussion could be, hey, you don't have to hear anything else, you don't have to discuss it, just, someone can make a motion to, accept as recommended for approval to the town meeting. Or we can discuss it, see which way you wanna go.
You guys want to discuss it, or? I think it's a great idea. I wouldn't say it's a blighted building, but it's close.
It's damn close.
I didn't know Steve and Astis owned that. I was unaware of that.
Okay, I'm gonna push this along. Any other discussion on it?
Nope.
No? Is there a motion to, and we'll get this wording correct, I mean, Sam over here, Sam, your last name again?
Rigo.
Rigo. Sam Rigo is our secretary. Sam will put it in the correct
English?
English
Yes.
as we have done in past meetings. I can never remember. By the time the end of the night runs around, I can't remember. I should have it written down.
Bob, I
Yes.
move to recommend this to town meeting.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. Is there a second?
Second.
Jeff seconded it. Recommend to town meeting, seconded by Jeff. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a roll call vote. Well, any discussion? Pro, con? Hearing, seeing none, okay. I need a yes or a no. Jeff Blacker,
Yes.
Melissa Lynch,
Yes.
Alicia Rinaldi,
Yes.
Janice Schneider,
Yes.
Janai Mingleson. Did I get that right?
Muggles.
Muggle.
One of these days, Bob.
Mungles.
It's one of the few names that has that many letters.
I
It
know.
really is how you say it.
Mungleson. Mungleson.
Mongol Singh, yes.
Thank you. And Frank Lyons.
Yes.
Thank you. I got a few more times to practice your name there, Janai, okay? All right,
We'll
next.
get it tonight.
Okay, next up is Article 16, roadway resurfacing. Any discussion on that? I'm skipping Article 11 because the solid waste bylaw is being dismissed. So on Article 16, roadway resurfacing. If no discussion, can I have a motion?
Motion to refer to town meeting is written.
Okay, the motion to refer to town meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alicia Rinaldi. Okay, by roll call. All those in favor, I need a yes or no. I'm gonna do the roll call again. Jeff Blacker,
Yes.
thank you. Melissa Lynch,
Yes.
Alicia Rinaldi,
Yes.
Janice Schneider,
Yes.
Janai Mingle Singh. No?
Muggle. Like the
Mungleson, I'm sorry,
Muggles, like-
Mungle. Oh boy, I gotta go to
It's like Harry Potter. Muggles.
Mungleson.
Right?
Mungleson? Mungleson, I apologize, Janai. Janai M. Is that a yes? Okay, Frank Lyons.
Yes.
All right, now we're moving on to the next one. We're on Article 17, which is the water main upgrades and improvements. Any discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to refer is approved to town meeting.
All right, motion to approve the
Second.
town meeting. Seconded by who?
Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you, Jeff. Okay, again by roll call vote. Jeff Blacker,
Yes.
Melissa Lynch,
Yes.
thank you. Elisa Rinaldi,
Yes.
Janice Schneider,
Yes.
Janai Mungleson. Did I get that right?
Yay!
Is that a yes?
That is a yes.
Thank you. Frank Lyons,
Yes.
thank you. All right, thank you all for that one. Okay,
Who
move-
seconded that?
it was seconded
Jeff.
Jeff?
by Jeff Blacker. You got that?
Yep.
And Janice made the motion.
Yep.
Okay. So now we're on, hang on, just give me a moment here. Okay, now we're on Article 18, property okay, that's being dismissed. 18's being dismissed, 19 being dismissed. The last one, Article 21, municipal charges lien. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, seeing none. Is there a motion?
I
Motion to refer to town meeting.
Okay, who would like to take that?
Doesn't matter.
Whoever.
I will give it to Melissa Lynch, okay? Jeff, you want to second that one since you made the,
Sure,
Send-
second.
thank you very much. Okay, by roll call vote, Jeff Blacker,
Yes.
thank you. Melissa Lynch,
Yes.
Elisa Rinaldi,
Yes.
Janice Schneider,
Yes.
Janai Mungleson,
Yes.
and Frank Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes all the articles. Just 1 minute, please. As you know, I just want to remind everybody, the town meeting is the special town meeting is at the middle school cafeteria. The warrant's been updated a little bit, they dropped, even though we haven't changed the motions. The bond council did get rid of some superfluous information on the particular motion, so I gotta resend out the motions, the warrant to you guys, just so you have. You're gonna get one in the mail too, when they put all the recommendations together. But since you're committee members, I will email you out by tomorrow night, the most recent warrant, just so you have it. It won't have any recommendations on it, but, just so you have it, that's all. So, if there's no other discussion, Janice, go ahead.
Bob, are we gonna be able to do all this in one night, or should we plan on additional evenings.
plan on additional nights. We did reserve, just because we're dealing with the school administration. They're very nice people, but you gotta fill out, the clerk's office has to fill out what they call permits, like your permit for a field or something like that. We had to fill out permits for school space. So, we reserved 4 nights. I don't think it's gonna go beyond 2, maybe into a third. I'm hoping we get through 2 nights, so it'll be, we did Monday, Wednesday, so it's gonna be November 6th, November 8th, November 13th, 7 and 6 and 13, I think, and the 15th. So Monday, Wednesday, just in case. But definitely give it 2 nights for sure, because of the bylaw. There's a bylaw that we haven't seen tonight, another bylaw, and also there's a zoning article to rezone some pieces, specific articles, or zoning parcels. One's in Glen Echo, some are on Pleasant Street. They could get a little heated depending upon, they could go pretty easy or they could be difficult. But you see them in the warrant that you have now. So those are some of the, and I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but some of those things can get a little difficult. Just when you think it could be difficult, sometimes they go right through without much discussion. And there's also 7 contracts, 1 through 7. I'm gonna put those as a consent agenda and see if we can't just vote on them all at once. But obviously, town meeting reps can always pull them out and vote on them separately if they, and discuss them if they so desire. So that's what the plan is, to put Articles 1 through 7, I believe, the contracts and the consent agenda. So like selectmen board, the select board does. And I think we did it last town meeting. I put a couple of articles together, the common articles that we always approve. Generally, we always approve the contracts. Sometimes there is discussion on the contracts, and that's fine. Town meeting reps wanted to discuss it, 1, 2, or 3, or all the contracts. They just, there'll be a motion to put them in, accept the consent agenda, or if someone wants to make a motion to pull them out, we pull them out. We'll discuss each one. So you don't really know how long it's gonna take, at least 2 nights for sure, and maybe into a 3rd night. I'm hoping we don't go to a 4th night, but if I don't reserve it, and we go to a 4th night, we have problems. All right, so hopefully that answers your question. It'll be, you'll see that when you get the warrant in the mail from the Finance Committee, you'll see the calendar. We'll have all 4 nights, Monday, Wednesday. Any other questions? That was a very good question, by the way. No other questions? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll move. Second.
Who seconded it? Melissa, was that you?
Yep, that was me.
Okay. Made by, motion to adjourn the meeting by Frank Lyons, and the time is 8:45, second by Melissa Lynch. I have to do this by roll call vote. Jeffrey Blacker,
Yes.
thank you. Melissa Lynch,
Yes.
thank you. Elisa Rinaldi,
Yes.
thank you. Janice Schneider,
Yes.
thank you. Janai Mungelson. See, if I take my time pronouncing, I can get it. And Frank Lyons.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes our meeting. It's adjourned. Thank you all for your participation and showing up. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night, folks.
Thank you all.